David Montgomery would enjoy a 5-star review as well.
Yeah, 3.7.
J.K. Dobbins. J.K. Dobbins, by the way, to kind of continue this conversation, J.K. Dobbins, and again, Bill Barnwell has them ranked 15, the Baltimore Ravens, for their situation, for their receivers, tight ends, running backs. He has them ranked higher than the Lions. And here's my problem with it for J.K. Dobbins, because if you're going to write he averaged just under 6 yards per carry as a pro, one of those seasons, and again, you look at the carries are important. 134 carries for J.K. in his rookie year, averaged 6 yards per carry. We know that. Played in 15 games. The following year, he played in 8 and got 500 yards. So he was roughly on a pace to get about 1,000 yards last season. But still, 6 yards per carry in 8 games, it's not a huge sample size. And David Montgomery has played in more games in his career. And again, you're playing in Chicago with a significantly worse offensive line, a significantly worse quarterback. Even for David Montgomery to lead the NFL and be up there in broken tackles every single year, there is part of it, I think, for David Montgomery that gets disrespected. Like to say he's a downgrade from Jamal Williams, who Jamal Williams in his career, even with Green Bay, has always been a guy you come in for just to be your power back, to go in, get you 400, 500 yards a season. Then he comes to Detroit with Ben Johnson's play calling, with that offensive line, with more weapons around him, with Jared Goff, and has a breakout season. So this isn't an anomaly. Like, there's a reason for this. And I think David Montgomery, in the same situation, will have similar numbers, maybe not touchdowns, because again, a lot of those touchdowns, people forget, were at like the 1-yard line. So it's not like he was running, breaking free for 30-yard touchdown runs. He did it a couple times, but David Montgomery to me is not a downgrade. He writes in this article he's a downgrade, but that is incorrect.
No, and I'm going to be known universally probably until however long as the biggest David Montgomery hater at this network, and I am not. And even I would say that David Montgomery is definitely not a downgrade. All I've said is that be careful about propping up David Montgomery like he's the savior of the running back position. I was all down on just being happy we got him for a cheap contract, all of that, just being an upgrade over Jamal Williams. But the disrespect I've seen Lions fans just throw at Jamal Williams, even though he had last season, offensive line aided, albeit, the single greatest season a Detroit Lions running back has had since Barry Sanders.
But what is that?
I get it.
He's not the most ideal running back to have compared to like your Christian McCaffreys or anything like that. But David Montgomery, by far, gives you everything a running back could. Yeah, he runs like a low 4.5, but when you're having a linebacker in your face, he's going to run him over, get 5 extra yards, and now you bring in Jahmyr Gibbs. And that's the role why I'm so happy about David Montgomery, because if he was our only running back flannel, yeah, I would be with you. I'd be like, yeah, he's going to be a good running back, but he's not going to just have some lethal rushing attack. And what David Montgomery brings with Jahmyr Gibbs is what I'm so excited about.
And to address this comment too, Booner says, with some of your points here, Jeff and Lucas, David Montgomery better come in here and have 1,200 plus yards and 15 touchdowns then. Who's saying that?
That's like, why? Like Jamal Williams, if we really want to go there, Jamal Williams had 17 touchdowns because in the red zone, who are you throwing to? You don't have a big play. What, you have Josh Reynolds? No, you're not going to do that. Amon-Ra St. Brown, he's a nice short route demon that if it's like a 6-yard like we saw against the Jaguars, hit him on a 6-yard out in the red zone, that's nice. When you have Jamal Williams, who is a good power back, just like David Montgomery, he's going to do it. And now the Lions just got even more weapons. They have a true tight end in Sam Laporta. They just brought in Jahmyr Gibbs. Jamison Williams is going to be back. They now have a true red zone wide receiver, Marvin Jones. The touches are not going to be spread out the same. But the impact of what David Montgomery is going to be able to do, drive to drive, the impact he's going to have on the defense, no one was worried about Jamal Williams catching a ball out of the backfield. You have to worry about David Montgomery catching a ball out of the backfield, because if he does, now he's going to be one-on-one with the safety. He's probably going to break that tackle because he's with Nick Chubb and the most broken tackles in the league. And he can make a move after that. Jamal Williams, you don't have to worry about that ever.
Well, this is my problem, too, and I want to address Booner's comment, because nobody's saying that David Montgomery is one of the best backs in the NFL. Like, relax. No. We're not saying that. All I'm saying is he's better than Jamal Williams. And if you don't agree with that, I don't know what to tell you. Like, get eyeballs, I guess. But for David Montgomery, the expectations I have, it's not similar to what Jamal did last year. Jamal almost had... Well, he had 262 carries last season. 262. You know what the most amount of carries David Montgomery's had in his career? 247. So 247, Jamal cleared him. And the reason why Jamal was used as much as he was is because DeAndre Swift was unhealthy. He was hurt. Like, he was in the position he was in because they had no other running back. Craig Reynolds, Jamar Jefferson?
What's it?
This is why he played as well as he did. This year, I don't expect Jahmyr Gibbs to play in half the games. I expect Jahmyr to be healthy.
Look
and
how
in that
good
instance,
Justin Jackson.
in that instance, if Jahmyr's healthy, you're not going to have the same production. David will not have the same production as Jamal Williams. Now, if you put David Montgomery in that same situation and no Jahmyr Gibbs for half the season, maybe we can have an argument. But I don't think you can compare. It's apples to oranges. The situation Jamal Williams was in last year will not be the same as David Montgomery this year with Jahmyr Gibbs, but he's better. Does that make sense?
He is better, and I think, and Lucas said something on the previous show we were talking about it, which I agree with, and I know you've reiterated. I think that David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs in combination can be a damn good running back duo because their skill set complements each other well, and Jahmyr Gibbs definitely, especially in the first 6 games, is going to be used a lot as a pass catcher. I don't know about David Montgomery so much. But at the same time, I'm hearing a lot of sort of downplaying every single accomplishment that Jamal Williams had last year. I understand that he was in a lot of ways the goal line touchdown merchant, but the motherfucker literally broke the franchise record for rushing touchdowns in a season. It happened.
But okay, so he broke Barry's record. Was he playing anywhere even close to the level that Barry Sanders was?
Not even a fraction.
And
I get it.
that's what we're trying to say is we're not downplaying what Jamal Williams is, but we're taking it for what it is.
Yes.
Jamal Williams, outside of the red zone, what was Jamal Williams doing? He was getting 4 or 5 yards of carries, keeping the drive alive,
solid.
keeping the Lions ahead of the chains, and in the red zone, he'd get in there. And that's exactly what you pay Jamal Williams to do. They're paying David Montgomery more because they know David Montgomery can do, and that's more than Jamal Williams. And just everything I'm saying about David Montgomery and Jamal Williams, I would say the same thing about Jahmyr Gibbs and DeAndre Swift. That's why it's just like, this makes no sense at all.
I like this comment from Chuck. He says, and Chuck's always dropping facts. I love Chuck.
No, he's not.
He says he is.
No, he's not.
You just don't like the, you just don't like the information. It's still true. It's true information. Chuck says, if Swift plays 15 games, how many TDs does Williams actually end up with?
Less. I get it. But here's the thing, though, and you guys are completely downplaying this. Jamal Williams filled in admirably. He had 1,000 yards. He kept the running game going. You guys act like Jamal Williams is just and in a lot of ways he is. He is at his core probably a replacement level running back, but at the same time in his career at his top end, and I know this is context free, and Lucas, you bring up a lot of good points. His career high in rushing yards for a season is 1,066. David Montgomery's is 1,070, and they both have had exactly 1,000 yard season. And I am so tired of hearing the whole argument. David Montgomery had 1,000 all-purpose yards every year of his career. That's not that big of a deal. Getting 1,000 all-purpose yards is not a big deal.
It is when you're...
No, it's not.
For this exact conversation, because let's go look back at Jamal Williams in Green Bay when he was their number 2 running back and he was the receiving back. He wasn't even having close to the production that David Montgomery was having.
Fine.
And now he's
That's fair.
And so that's what I'm saying. Take them both at the same level. David Montgomery is clearly the better back. That's why I'm not downplaying it, but we're being real. We're seeing that Jamal Williams and even Justin Jackson both are playing out of their minds for what they truly are. So now let's come back to reality, realize what each player is, and evaluate them. Stats outside of it. I'm not saying Jamal Williams didn't have one of the best seasons in Lions history. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is he was an okay back who had a great season. Kind of just like, it's like the Josh Jacobs thing on a smaller level. I think Josh Jacobs is a good back, but he had everything go right for him last season. So that's why statistically you could be like Josh Jacobs was the best running back last year, but was he? No.
And let's be real here, to kind of put a cap on it, you even would agree with this, because I get what Jamal did, but even before the season, there's a reason why you thought DeAndre would lead the NFC in rushing.
Oh, and that's fair.
With Jamal on the roster.
And that's
like that kind of shows what we think you thought of Jamal at the time.
And that's the funny thing about the evolution of Jamal Williams and me, because going in the offseason in Hard Knocks, I thought people were way overrating Jamal Williams. I don't like his antics, by the way. A lot of Detroit fans think it's cute. I never liked it. I thought that whole speech he gave where he cried was fake as fuck. But anyway, as the season actually played out and DeAndre Swift did what he always does and get hurt, which I baked against not happening, and Jamal Williams actually stepped up and showed it on the field within a 1,000-yard season, I grew to respect Jamal Williams more. And I'm not saying that David Montgomery is not an upgrade. I'm just saying that there's always a downplaying of everything Jamal Williams did. But when it comes to David Montgomery and why in 2 seasons he averaged less than 4 yards per carry, I get that there's some context, but there's always a reason. The bottom line is last season, and this is a fact when you look at the numbers, he was the 3rd best rushing threat on his own team after Justin Fields and Khalil Herbert.
Why is that though? Now explain to me why that is.
Oh, hold on. We're gonna as much as no. Trust me, we could talk about this all day. We got to get to the New York Jets now having Hard Knocks because I know Sam's gonna.